Hi everyone, thank you for joining us at the Halal in Travel Global Summit 2023 hosted by CrescentRating and HalalTrip. Welcome to our panel discussion titled The Future of Muslim Travel, Are Destinations Engaging Enough? Today we are here to explore a topic of growing importance in the global tourism industry and a market segment that presents unique opportunities and challenges. Joining us today, we have three exceptional panelists who bring a wealth of knowledge and experience in catering to the needs and preferences of Muslim travelers. They will help us uncover the key factors that make a destination attractive to Muslim travelers, hopefully share some successful examples of destinations that have effectively engaged its audience, and discuss the role of technology, innovation, and other strategic marketing to enhance Muslim travel experience. I'm Fazal Bahardeen. I head CrescentRating and HalalTrip, and I'll be facilitating the discussion today. So let me start by briefly introducing our three panelists. I have here Riyanto Sofyan, a long-time friend of mine, chairman of Sofyan Corp Indonesia. He has been in the hospitality, tourism, and property business for more than 40 years. During the last 30 years, he has focused on the Muslim-friendly halal compliance concept, which has really contributed to the growth of his own business as well as the increase in halal tourism industry in Indonesia. I then have Xuan Lee, Area Director for Malaysia, Thailand, and Brunei for the Singapore Tourism Board. He oversees STB's destination promotion marketing efforts in these key regional markets, Malaysia, Thailand, Brunei, Cambodia, and Laos, to ensure that Singapore remains the top of mind leisure and business destination among Southeast Asian visitors. I also have all the way from London, Abdul Maalik Tailor. I forgot to mention Riyanto is sitting in Jakarta, Xuan is sitting in KL, and Abdul Maalik is all the way from London. He is Britain's first professionally qualified Muslim tour guide. He actually founded Halal Tourism Britain, specializing in halal travel and Muslim heritage of Britain. He does quite a number of things back in Britain. You know, he's not wearing his face cap today, but he has his trademark face cap that he wears most of the time.
Would you like me to wear it?
Why not?
Why not? 1 second.
You can find more about their profiles on the event website, events.crescentrating.com. So, welcome to all our panelists. How are you doing today? Riyanto, Xuan, Abdul Maalik.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, it's fantastic. Great morning, great beginning of the week.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into our discussion and really learn more from all of you. Of course, we have discussed on many occasions, what are the key factors of Muslim travelers or that they're looking for. And this is, of course, we keep discussing this because I think although we have been discussing for many years now, I think there is still there is still a gap in understanding, what really makes Muslim travelers at ease at destination. So, maybe we start off with, maybe Riyanto, what are the, are the ones that we have been discussing are still the key factors that destinations need to do to be attractive and engaging for Muslim travelers, and how well have the destinations have been catering to the Muslim market, the last few years?
Okay, I think the key factors to make a destination attractive to Muslim travelers. Firstly, I think the destination has to have a deep understanding and also acknowledge the current mega shifts of consumer behavior and the new marketing landscape of tourism and trends in general during and post-COVID-19 pandemic. In short, it is more into the healthy lifestyle, and then responsible consumptions, and also more to outdoor activities and unique experience. So in general terms, that the tourism is more into the quality tourism rather than mass tourism, and more personalized rather than general tourism. But one aspect for sure are the digitalization of products and services, also the operationals of its offerings. I think, and now the challenge will be how to adapt those trends and needs, applying it into the attractions, amenities, and accessibilities of the destination itself. To my observation, Indonesia, I think, have done well in addressing those needs by doing a lot of innovation and collaborations in adjusting offerings according to the current trends and needs, so that it can attract the market with appealing value for the money. One of the advantages of Indonesia, I think, it has a huge domestic tourist market, which is the capital to support the acceleration of the revival and further development and advancing of its tourism industry by mostly capitalizing on its nature, culture, mainly halal culinary and creative economy. That is like handicraft, traditional woven textiles, modest fashion, and etc. Through innovation of the new nuances and unique experience, mainly capitalizing on community-based tourism, sport and wellness, and innovative events. So that's from what I have observed and also experienced in Indonesia.
Thanks, Riyanto. I'll come back to some of those, but let me get initial views from others as well before we dig deeper into this one. Xuan, of course, you are looking after some markets like Malaysia, Brunei, who are heavily Muslim markets. Of course, STB, Singapore Tourism Board, has been very actively positioning itself for the Muslim market. What's your take on how has the needs have evolved? How is Singapore tourism trying to cater to its needs? How is it from your point of view?
Sure. I'm sorry. First, can I check? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so just to quickly answer your questions top line. So I think in the case of Singapore, what we've seen after the pandemic is that most Muslim travelers they look for generally the similar offerings as many of our key leisure travelers do. But there are certain additional requirements, which I think some of us might know already. So this will include having halal meals and also a suitable place to do daily prayer. So as many of our Muslim travelers tend to travel in families, I think for many of them, it is important that the destination is safe, that it is convenient, and that it has activities that cater to a wide range of ages, from young children to the elderly, because they tend to travel in families. So for us, Singapore as a destination, we are very different from some other destinations. We are very small a city. So we have certain strengths, such as the fact that Singapore is very safe. Singapore is very convenient because of our size. It's easy to get around. And we do have halal-friendly amenities, and that's appealing. So actually for us, the Muslim travel segment is pretty important because two of our key visitor markets, which is Indonesia and Malaysia, are home to large Muslim populations. So, and these two markets are actually our top two markets in the first quarter of 2023. So that's how important they are. Yeah. I guess one point to add is that for Singapore, it really helps that actually our domestic population in Singapore is also Muslim. So around 15.6% of our total 5.4 million residents are Muslim. So many of our amenities, our facilities, our restaurants are designed to be Muslim friendly. Some of them have, like for example, restaurants, they have halal certification, and there's a natural domestic market for these offerings. So that means that our visitors have more choices to choose from when they're in Singapore.
Great. Now I'll come back to expand on some of the things that you said, Xuan. Let me also get the first thoughts from Abdul Maalik. I mean, he looks at a completely different market, Britain, of course, quite Muslim friendly now, London specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Abdul Maalik, your experience, you do a lot of tour, taking tourists around London as well, showing them the Islamic heritage of London and all that. Your thoughts on how have things evolved? How is London in particular, or maybe in UK in general, catering to this segment?
I think we've had some parallels with Singapore, that we have a domestic Muslim market, and some of our Muslim needs have actually emerged from the domestic market, which then obviously is helpful for the international Muslim tourists. So, for example, on highways, we now have prayer facilities. Like 20 years ago, we never had that. The shopping malls, we have prayer facilities there with wudu facilities as well. We now have football stadiums that even have multi-faith rooms as well. If you were to look at this even 10 years ago, this wasn't there. But people have realized that even with the international market, for example, like Liverpool, I know it's quite popular amongst Indonesians and Malaysians, there's a dedicated prayer place there, which you have wudu facilities as well. I've actually been there as well. And you do find that the same needs of the Muslim travelers in Britain are not too much different from other places as well, in that you want to have prayer facilities, or I should say prayer spaces, because sometimes during the daytime, you may have to use, like, one example I can quote from the top of my head is where the London Eye is, or Big Ben. The closest prayer place there is actually in a multi-faith room at a hospital, which people don't mind using. It has all the facilities there, so it does actually work for the Muslim community. You also have to have halal food as well, clearly displayed. There is, in London, to be honest, there's no shortage of halal eateries. As I say, Muslims love their food, so it's almost their drug, and they don't mind venturing out for the steaks, the lamb, the burgers, the smash burgers, as I say nowadays. And there are ample halal eateries around London that even when people actually make inquiries with regards to packages, etc., they say they want to have a full board. And once we actually speak to them, in terms of the bespoke packages, etc., we say, look, for your lunch and dinner, we can supply you the food, but if you want to look at the choice, the diversity of the halal cuisines, we can recommend places, and you can go there yourself and spend whatever you wish to spend yourselves, and that tends to be more attractive. People have been given that choice of what they can eat, as opposed to us telling them these are the places you're going to be going to. And I think as the Muslim community even further matures, we find that people want to kind of step out of that comfort food, if you like, which they perhaps been raised upon, and want to try the diversity of the different Muslim communities and cuisine. So that's something that's important. But something else that we've noticed is that there is a greater demand for Muslim heritage to be covered in UK as well. Now, most tourists, when they come to Britain, probably about 60-70% stay in London. That's no different to the Muslim travelers from what we've noticed. Most of them stay in London. However, they don't mind to have their day trips elsewhere, like Stonehenge, Bath, Windsor as well. But coupled with that, what they would like to know is where's the Muslim heritage and connections there. For example, if you go to Windsor Castle, you can see an array of like stolen hidden treasures of Tipu Sultan, and that fascinates people. Equally, what you find there is the kiswa, the cardboard cloth beam there as well. That kind of completely shocks everybody. So you do have these elements that play a part in actually advancing that package as well. And I have to be honest, since the Turkish TV series of the Ertugrul series, we have seen more of a wishing for Muslim heritage to be displayed, as opposed to, as I say, St. Paul's Cathedral or Westminster Abbey. Because what we've noticed is there are some halal guides out there that actually have the Christian churches and cathedral attractions on their halal list, but when it comes to the Muslim heritage site, they're not mentioned on there. That does actually raise a few eyebrows. And that's what people like to know. They want to know where the first mosque in London was, where was the first, for example, e-prayers conducted in London. And that in itself, since we actually kind of came from that background in terms of the heritage side into tourism, and that in some ways goes hand in glove, as I say, in terms of promoting Muslim heritage sites as well.
Yeah, no, I think London has been doing quite a bit of stuff. I mean, last Ramadan, there was so much of activities in London,
Yeah.
Eid for, like
We- I mean,
iftar and
Absolutely. I mean, Eid in the Trafalgar Square. Who would imagine that could take place? This year, although it did rain, it was a standing iftar. But we had obviously the Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, who was the guest of honor there, and that's a yearly event that takes place. But even in Ramadan, this year we had Ramadan lights. And that's been a small project that's been working up to get to strategic bigger locations as well. So who knows, even next year would actually be even on a more of a longer street, more of a prime location as well. But Piccadilly Circus, Leicester Square, that's a prime location in itself. So who's moaning, as they say?
Oh, I mean, you're talking about London Eid lights. I mean, Singapore has
Ramadan
been
lights,
having Ramadan lights and Ramadan Bazaar for many years, actually.
Oh, boy, we are.
Jian. So you're a bit copying from Singapore, I think. Jian. So I think, yeah, I think Singapore has quite a bit of, food is not an issue, prayer facilities
No.
generally not an issue. What other things, you're dealing with, Malaysian Muslim travelers, Indonesian Muslim travelers, what other ways are they, and what other things that they're looking at, in terms of, when they visit a destination from a Muslim point of view, I think.
Sorry, that's for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in terms of for Muslim travelers, right? I think what I've heard and I've seen when I have my conversations with partners in Malaysia and Brunei is that beyond the hygiene factors, which is like what we discussed, like having halal meals, having prayer amenities, these are actually baseline expectations for a Muslim traveler. So many of them actually look to destinations that can further wow and engage them. So it's expected that you should have such if you want, the Muslim market to come to your destination. The question, I suppose, is how else can you wow them and engage them? And certain factors, I think, are a result of the cultural environment and also popular culture. So I think this now that some of the Muslim travelers are very keen on destinations that they've seen in popular media and in on Netflix, on streaming platforms where brands create like TV series. So certain, of course, just to name some of our competitors like Japan and Korea have a natural advantage, especially South Korea, because they've really created many Netflix dramas which are very engaging. The actors are very handsome, very beautiful. The scenery is stunning, and Muslim travelers really do like to go to these destinations to experience a little bit of what they've seen in the show. And of course, as long as the destination meets certain baseline expectations, they're more than happy because the destination really wows them.
Thanks, Jian. Sure. Riyanto, of course, comes from very, very different from London and Singapore. Muslim majority country. How are the Muslims coming in Indonesia experiencing, what are the types of experiences that they are looking at? And, how is Indonesia trying to engage with these travelers?
Yeah, the good thing about Indonesia is because we have a mandatory halal certification law that comes to effect 3 to 4 years ago. And then it has to be, everything has to be halal certified for the next year. That's the deadline. Yeah. And because of that, there is a lot of amenities now having the halal certification. So it's really more assurance to the Muslim travelers. That's for sure. Even though that we are Muslim, the most population Muslim in the world, but the halal certification is also one of the most important thing because our tourists coming from also Kuala Lumpur, which is very meticulous about the halal certification. They're asking for the sijil, also from Singapore is also the same thing. So this is one of the competitive edge of the Indonesia. I mean, the more attractive. And the other thing is also we are into more capitalizing on the Islamic way of life. So this is a cultural things that we are engaging the community-based to develop the community-based tourism destination, like the tourism village. One of the example that I can give you is the Naga. They call it the Naga village. Naga is stand for Dragon Village. Is it actually really a Islamic way of lifestyle that can be experienced by tourists? But the good thing is, because of the support of the government to support the financing and also the technical assistance in increasing the capabilities. I mean the building capacity buildings. So the standard of the offering itself is not. It's a really global standard services, even though it's like a homestay in the village. But the bedroom, and all the atmosphere of the homestay village in the village is really very comforting and very welcome to the tourists, even though it's not a domestic tourist, also from international. And one of the trends also, we have guests from London and also from way along from the States. They would like also interest on the Wali Songo, the nine ulama from Java. So they would like to do the whole what you call it the spread of Islam. So the main sites of the nine of the Islamic scholars, the ulama, is also a point of interest. I mean, this is interesting because usually the Islamic heritage is only attracted to the Malaysian and Singaporean, but now also from the European and the States, America. It's a long haul, but they're still coming. I mean, it's also a strange thing for us because I think this is due to the digital marketing. I mean, you can really access everything, and you can really sell everything through the digital. So it's widely spread throughout the world with the less cost, of course. So this is also one of the trends that we are experiencing. And the other thing is also what you call it. We have the experience because mostly the Muslim travelers are the family. So with the glamping site, you see the business players and also the investor collaborating with the government, creating a glamping sites. Is really just like that's what we need for the Muslim travelers. To have the privacy of a Muslim, and also with of course the masjid around it and everything, it's really a good, what you call it, the healing experience. I mean, they call it now healing experience is very important, and in the what you call it, the package of the tourism. I mean, this one is really one of the things that also we experience. And the malls also, I think the same thing as in London. Even the big players of the malls developer now has like a very big mosque inside the mall. Yeah, one of the one in Jakarta, it can accommodate the Jummah prayer with around 1,000 jamaah. Yeah. So this is one of the things, because the mall is very expensive in renting it for the space, but the developer is really willing to provide a big mosque inside the mall. So within it's like a balance, the urban tourism and also the countryside tourism, everything developed to cater the Muslim travelers' needs in very innovative ways.
So I think we covered, of course, we know the basics as Jian Xuan was saying, baseline is we need to have halal food, we need to have, prayer facility. These are baseline stuff. But I think we covered two other things here. One is, the renewed interest in reconnecting with heritage. I think that's a theme that we have kept hearing. Also, I think there is now some are also looking for outdoors activities, connecting with nature, I think that's another theme, I think also evolving theme. And you said, of course, enhancing your urban facilities with Muslim-friendly facilities is also something that we need to. Maybe I go to first Abdul Maalik, because he's very much involved in discovering heritage, Islamic heritage in London, connecting Muslim travelers with the heritage in London. So Maalik, so how is that? Is it something that they really are looking for? Is it something more of because you are showing them they're interested, or are they really interested to understand the heritage?
No, I've got to be honest, they are really interested to find out about Muslim heritage of Britain. Obviously, people know that Britain had a colonial past with colonized Muslim countries, etc. So people are aware of that, and sometimes a bit hesitant to actually want to know, well, not hesitant, they're curious to actually find out what happened during that time. What were the sites connected to that? So, for example, we had, like in Asia, the East India Company. So certain people would want to see some of the sites related to the East India Company. Some of the main people, like Robert Clive's statue and the stories behind it as well. But what we do find is, like, even at normal major tourist sites, for example, like Trafalgar Square, people are absolutely taken back. They're shocked to find out that the name itself is Arabic in origin. Many Muslims go there domestically, internationally. Even some of the elders, when they came, they used to come there to feed the pigeons and take the pictures, etc. They remember that, but they say they've never come across the actual name. It's a bit similar, like Gibraltar means Jabal Tariq, the mountain of Tariq. People are a lot more familiar with that. But when you look at the word Trafalgar, where the square's named after, that was after the 1805 battle, which took place off the coast of Spain in the cave Trafalgar, and Trafalgar itself means Tarafagar, the edge of the cave. So that in itself creates, like, wow, we never knew this. We're born and bred here. Although I remember even we had the Malaysian tourist minister, when she found out about it, she goes, I've been coming here, London every year, and it's a major site. I've never known about the Arabic name itself, and they've got the tourism office directly at Trafalgar Square. And what you are finding here is that these hidden gems that do exist in London, or even outside of London, people are very much interested in finding this out, because yes, they're coming here, they're looking at the as I say, mainstream attractions, they're going on the London Eye, they're doing different activities, the food, etc. But that part, in terms of that heritage, really just it does create curiosity. For example, London's first mosque, that's something that I rediscovered, of 1895. Where was it? Who was it? Who opened it? And that was somebody who was of Cape Malay origin as well. Where did he die? Where is he buried? These are all stories that people are interested in finding out about, these specific individuals of the past. And then sometimes they also want to know the lessons that one can learn from the past. And it kind of like relates to the Quran. In the stories from the Quran, these are, as I say, signs for us to actually learn lessons from. And that's the way I generally explain it. You have it in the Quran as like stories of our history. So why can't we have stories of our history in, as I say, non-Muslim countries? And this is like London in some ways perhaps leads the way, in my belief, in one of the major European cities as well. But at the same time, what I have noticed, there are people who want to do like a dual package with us in terms of UK and France, but they also want to find out about that history that does exist in France as well. And that's something, France has its own challenges, as I say, whether it's to do with the niqab ban, the Islamophobia that exists there, but people still want to know about the Muslim heritage sites in France. So that is another location we are actually developing as well. So I would actually say, in terms of for the time being, in terms of looking at the Western Europe. Perhaps UK is not only the safest place for Muslims to go for travel, but I would also say it's perhaps the place where you find the most amount of Muslim heritage. I mean, imagine finding Muslim castles in Britain that are replicas of Saladina castles in Syria. Finding monuments that have actually Urdu inscription written on there from 100 years ago. Who knows about this? But this creates that curiosity. People do want to connect to their roots.
So what you're saying is that, trying to identify hidden gems, hidden, heritage that has not, not been really, made aware to the.
I mean, there was also
tourists.
like the site of London's first Eid prayers. We successfully campaigned to have a blue plaque there as well, and the authorities basically granted it to us. And that in itself, just having a plaque on that building, has actually created a tourist destination in itself as well.
Wonderful.
So these are like, I should add, these are also non-Muslims who come in onto the tours wanting to find out about the diverse London, as they say. It's not just the Muslims. And that in itself, when you've actually got, if you like, diverse communities, not just Muslims, but also non-Muslims wanting to find out about Muslim heritage, then that's a winner, as they say, and that's a wow factor in actually enticing a lot more of our heritage to be disseminated amongst the many people who visit London.
Thanks, Abdul. So, Xuan, of course, Singapore is a different place, different location, fully urbanized. How do you, of course, we talked about, Indonesia, Britain has different history. Of course, Singapore has history as well, a lot of history. How do you find those hidden gems for Muslim travelers who are coming here beyond the, of course, the urban experiences?
I think honestly, it is hard for Singapore to compete with the UK and Indonesia in terms of the wealth of history, the depth of it, and the kind of offerings that you can find that really date back to so long ago, and all the cultures are so interconnected. Singapore does have history, and I think what is our advantage and our strength is that it's curated very nicely in certain cultural precincts and neighborhoods. So we do find that our travelers are very keen on visiting exhibitions and museums in some of these areas. So one example would be the Kampong Glam and Bugis area, which is designated more for Malay heritage, and we have a Malay heritage center there that's pretty popular. We also have our Peranakan Museum, which reopened in after a 4-year pause. They were kind of renovating and refreshing their offerings, and that's really popular because the Peranakan culture, it's a amalgamation of various cultures that intermarried, so that again our visitors find interesting. I think another aspect of culture and heritage that we noticed that our visitors like is the arts exhibitions, which Singapore does bring in quite a few of, and those are very popular because we also cater to the younger audiences, and they really love things that like they can take pictures of, they can put on Instagram with our key segments like families, with some of these early careers. They really like to go for various types of exhibitions, and I think that is where Singapore being able to curate and pull together some of these events to be held on our island, that really does attract them.
Yeah, no, I think one of the other things, of course, it's food, but I think Singapore offers beyond just halal food. I mean, I think the variety of halal food that Singapore offers, as because I'm saying that because I sit in Singapore, the variety of halal food that Singapore offers as halal certified, whether it's Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, French, you name it, you have halal certified food here in almost in a very close by, like Kampong Glam, that as Xuan was saying. Yeah, so I think Singapore has a different set of offerings to Muslim travelers who can, that's why we get a lot of Muslim travelers to Singapore. Riyanto, we talked a little bit, I'll end up with these questions to all of you, how can we further engage with Muslim travelers? I think that the market is growing, we know for sure, as pandemic eases, and we are now seeing, and we are going to release some numbers in the next report very soon, the new numbers, how market has grown in 2022. So how do you see the use of technology. I mean, we have, of course, AI, which is everybody is using now. How do you see that technology being used to better communicate, better engage with Muslim travelers? And I'll come to Abdul, Maalik and Xuan as well from that same question to close off. Yeah.
Okay, I think the use of digital technology and marketing, I think it's very playing a very important role in building, usually in the branding, advertising, and selling strategy. And on this part, I think there's a lot of things, mostly not only depending on the existing digital marketplace, but now it can really innovate into the using of the social media and combining also for the programmatic algorithm of the Google ads or any other, even the social media ads also play a big role on this. So this is really helps, because it's really compared to the before the pandemic, it's very now, because we are focusing on that, it's really at the end of the day, it's more cost efficient and cost effective to promote your businesses and also destinations. As I already mentioned, one of the examples is we never expected that a tourist coming from London or from the States coming to Indonesia just to discover what is the Islamic heritage and the story of the how Islam is spread to the Indonesia, but also finding a real gem. You see, one of the tourists from Europe also coming to the West Sumatra, because mostly the tourism, the Muslim travelers from Europe is mostly to the adventure. One of the also hidden gem in Indonesia is actually is the Mande Islands. Mande Islands is in the West Sumatra. It's very close to the capital of West Sumatra is Padang. It's only 40 hours drive. But the thing is, Mande Island is just like the Raja Ampat. I think one of the most beautiful destination in Indonesia, and also most expensive. I mean, because of the conservation of the environment, really costing the operation of all the amenities in that Raja Ampat. Compared to the Raja Ampat, Mande is still developing. It's new emerging destination in Indonesia. Only limited, like homestay or villas with the very limited also services. But the tourists coming from Europe, they say they like it here. It's just like a Robinson Crusoe. You see, so one of also the result of the research of one of the PhD candidates is also proof that the amenities, setting into the global standard is not really the most important thing. The most important thing is the new experience close to the Islamic and Muslim travelers' lifestyle. So that kind of thing is also one of the key factors in really reviving and also taking advance on your business or destinations for the Muslim
Thanks,
travelers.
Riyanto. And Xuan, of course, we know Singapore is very advanced when it comes to use of technology, digital marketing. Of course, now there is there was of course a Reimagine Singapore program last year, we are also very much focused on sustainable development of tourism. So maybe you could talk a little bit of how you are leveraging technology in general, but also from a Muslim point of view.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I think we're leveraging tech in a couple of ways. So one is to really demonstrate how the destination can be experienced differently through technology. So one example is how STB worked with Snapchat to create like this AR lens. And then when users go to this particular lane in Singapore, which is called Haji Lane, it's really popular. It's in the precinct of Bugis, which many Muslim travelers go. If you on your app, you can use the custom locations feature to play certain games and see certain effects, and you can even get some gratification by going to a shop to redeem a sweet. So there are like QR codes on wall stickers that the users can play with. So that's one way that how tech is used to demonstrate how different tourism can be in a destination. The other way is enabling the delivery of our content. So that would be, our VS, Visit Singapore website, social media pages, the Muslim Lifestyle Guide, which is available both in print and electronical version. And I think just adding one more point, it will be the marketing. We find that doing marketing through effective brand advocates really helps us. So, earlier this year, my Indonesia colleagues did a campaign with the Lebanese-born Swedish-based artist Maher Zain, and that campaign has really done really well for us. It just shows him, going around exploring some of our key attractions, like the Sky Helix Sentosa, Gardens by the Bay, Lazarus Island, the neighborhoods in Singapore like Katong Chu Chien and Kampong Glam. So we've received close to, I think, 3 million views overall since the campaign launched. And there's also been a lot of talkability because, he's a natural fan base, and then they see him trying new things in Singapore. And they're curious, and they want to also go there and take a look at what's going on. So I think these are several ways in which we use tech to further our agenda, so to speak.
Xuan, you wanted to show us a video. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Maher Zain. I'm a singer, songwriter, and music producer. Throughout my career, I've been fortunate to travel to many countries around the world, and it feels great to be able to travel freely again. I've always enjoyed visiting Singapore, and this time I'm very excited to explore some of its new attractions. Captain Maher. I had so much fun today on Singapore's Sentosa Island. It's a perfect getaway for travelers and families. This was definitely an unforgettable day.
So this video was done by my STB Indonesia team, and we really brought Maher Zain, who is a mega influencer and celebrity, to go around, explore some of Singapore's new attractions, and also to see some of our cultural neighborhoods. And the objective was really to showcase how Singapore has changed and what are some of the different things that Muslim visitors can experience after the pandemic, where they are less familiar with traveling.
Thanks, Xuan. So last word, Abdul Maalik. So Abdul Maalik, how has technology been helpful to you? How else are you going to use technology in engaging with your consumers, with your customers?
I think what we need to do is just have a recap. Previously what we had was like a dominant narrative that was being actually disseminated out there, but then now having social media, this has actually done exceptional, given us an exceptional platform where we can actually come out with the different Muslim stories, and that in itself, that's what people love. People want to see the behind the scenes as well, and that's what you can display on social media as well. But we're just going to keep on advancing on social media. To be honest, it is a different platform which people themselves can actually find. And also, so coupled with that, in terms of digital age, what we have online, we have the opportunity where people themselves in general, where previously what you might have found different experiences, different attractions, people wanted to look at the reviews, etc. And previously when we would do it on the print side, the attractions and experience people, that would actually normally filter out the reviews and only put the best ones. But in this way, like we've got Trustpilot, we've got TripAdvisor reviews. People themselves can actually provide an authentic review, which potential customers can actually read for themselves. And I think that's quite helpful in itself. And we are on TripAdvisor, overwhelming 5-star reviews, and people themselves have actually read the TripAdvisor reviews, and then obviously they've kind of like in some ways they can see that element of trust is already there, and that's quite helpful in itself. So when you think about that funnel way, you're on the social media, you're on TripAdvisor, and therefore it does actually great trust amongst people who want to potentially make inquiries about your tours, as well as like you have the opportunity to use technology for people just to book 7 days a week, as opposed to going back and forth in emails, and that's quite helpful in itself. But I think one of the major ways is actually displaying our Muslim heritage to Muslim travelers or non-Muslim travelers, to a worldwide audience, which previously it was very much lacking.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. And as we bring this, we are running out of time. So as we bring this panel discussion to a close, I really would like to thank all of our panelists for sharing their knowledge, insights, and experience. I think we covered, some of those, emerging trends, apart from, of course, the halal food and prayer facilities and all that, but on that front also, you all shared some interesting facts like London, now UK in general, even football stadiums are having prayer facilities. Riyanto talked about, malls having 100 congregation mosques now. So I think beyond that, we also identified that, identifying heritage is important, and hidden gems in places like in Singapore itself, you can still find a lot of hidden gems. People still probably don't realize, don't know. And also, people want to connect with the outdoor activity, talked of glamping and all that. So I think we hope that this discussion has inspired those who have joined as much as it has inspired us. We look forward to seeing the positive impact of our efforts in developing the Muslim travel market as we navigate through the next phase of travel after the pandemic. So thank you once again to all of you. Wish you all the best as you continue your journeys in the UK, in Singapore, and in Indonesia. Thank you very much. For all those who are joining us at this session, please join the other exciting sessions at the Halal in Travel Global Summit. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.